Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back here to Big O Bell Media for another review. And today we're going to be starting our chain of reviews for season 3, the return of the boys, which the first 3 episodes are going to drop this coming Friday, and then a new episode following weekly. It's been a while since we had the boys, but Amazon's been nice because I will already start off by lobbying and saying that I hope in the gaps between these seasons that we get more of the animated The Boys Diabolical. Right. It kind of held us over until we got to this point, but it's literally like night and day. I mean, I love the animation. Don't get me wrong. It was very funny. It was brutal. It was creative considering all the different art styles and whatnot. But man, there's just nothing like this show on television, bar none. Like, just the brutality. I think they do a fantastic job, which I don't hear a lot of people rave about, but they deserve more credit in terms of the special effects, like the makeup and all that. It's just really good for all the gore, for all the blood splatters, for all the limbs and showers of blood. Think about like the prosthetics that are being done for all these different things, and they just do a really, really good job on that. But like, yeah, now that it's back, it's just like, man, I missed this show. So good. So much to talk about. So to be clear, we're going to start off by just giving you a non-spoiler review in terms of what you can expect this season, because it's a lot. And then we got you with spoiler reviews for episode 1, then 2, then 3. And because they're all 3 dropping this Friday, as I said, and then next week when we return, we got you with 1 episode, 1 review. So there's that. Terrell, what you got?
I honestly, when you think of like the platforms this show could have fell on, all the different streaming services, I don't think anybody could have did a better job. Not only, is this a really good, is Prime Video a good spot for this to be, but like I said, they consistently make sure that you don't lose focus. They do promos all year round. They do like the little commercials and stuff like that. And like you said, the cartoon, the animated series, which was really good. And like I said, they do a really good job with the show, and I don't want to say it's slept on, but it's a lot of stuff that a lot of people still haven't really caught on or noticed about this show that's really, really good.
So in terms of returning back for season 3, a lot has happened. It's been about a year now since where we left off on season 2, and Homelander is kind of removed, if you ask me. He's obviously still feeling the effects of Becca's death and losing his son, and he, to an extent, he doesn't say verbatim, but he's in other words, he basically feels that he's just kind of a pawn of a person now. He's being used for all different types of campaigns and whatnot. And let's not forget, he's also taking a huge publicity hit because he was dating a Nazi, and he's basically like, listen, I didn't know, I was just a good guy that just got caught up in a situation I didn't know I was dealing with or whatnot. A man who fell in love with the wrong woman. I mean, that's pretty easy to get behind. This PR people who is making their money. He's dealing with that. That's where his state of mind's at. We know he's extremely dangerous and unhinged, but in this case, he's more or less kind of reserved and kind of, just like I said, almost a shell of himself, because he's just processing it, and it's he's getting blows in every direction from it. And let's be very clear, he was dating a Nazi, and that's something that no one likes. So
sexy
folks are throwing rocks in all directions at him, and he's battling it and trying to keep his peace instead of becoming who we know him to be. On the other hand, we have Billy Butcher, and he lost Becca too. That's his wife, and he's dealing with that. He's also happened to deal with like the idea that, like, Homelander killed your wife, and then now you are, taking care of the son who's lost the mother. Sure. And he's kind of evolved to a new philosophy about the Supes. We know him. He was targeting them. He was out to kill them. That's what he did. Well, now he's working for the man. He's working for the government now. Yeah. So instead of him killing them, he's just turning them over because he doesn't want no issues. And this is very uncustomary of him. Strangely enough, his supervisor is Hughie. Who Hughie, when you think about his story from the first 2 seasons to now, to what I'm about to tell you, he's also had like a little bit of a glow up. Like again, he's running the government agency. He is dating Starlight. And
so the love of his life.
Yeah. He, and then they're very upfront about it. But to me, he's battling some insecurity, shall I say, with that, and it's not as easy as you would think it to be. This was not a case of the grass being greener on the other side. They're trying to manage, but she's not as innocent as she puts on the perception to be. I mean, yeah, she's been, and let's talk about her really quickly. Like, she's been a victim of a lot of things and trauma throughout the years. So you kind of see why she navigates the way she does, but she still sometimes, I feel, is a little just inconsiderate to his feelings. So, he's dealing with that. And as far as the boys, they're like disbanded. MM is trying to get his old thing back and the co-parenting life. And Billy is, like I said, and Billy is with the other two are just basically just kind of just trying to just, go through the new processes and whatnot. But to be clear, to be very clear, Billy still feels like his philosophy of handling the Supes is the ideal way to go, except he's just complying with what the government and Hughie are saying to do. Because, Hughie has gotten his promotion because he helped take down Stormfront, which is a big deal. He took down a Nazi. That's like monumental. You get sketched in history for that, So there's that. So anyway, the other biggest thing with that, and this is not a spoiler because it's been part of the promotional work, but the first superhero, Soldier Boy, has come into interest in every direction of this series because everybody wants to know the true story behind Soldier Boy's death, which then is tied to what appears to be a Russian weapon that killed him, which is impossible. But it's funny how people think, because it's literally how I would think too. You're thinking like, oh, that's unfortunate, but wait. Also, that means, and that's exactly what folks did. If that weapon could kill Soldier Boy, we might need that, because at any given point that Homelander decides to turn back up, we may need to execute. And that is of interest of everybody. So that is more of the outline of everything that's going on. Vault is still like Disney on steroids. Like, they got their hands on everything. They got amusement parks, they got a studio production company, every little direction you look, Vault is everywhere. And as if Compound V was the only thing that they're working on, they got something else coming down the hatch as well now, Compound V24, which by the trailer, because it sounds like a spoiler, but it's in the trailer, is something that if you use, well, you can get powers for 24 hours, which it seems like that seems like a very recreational drug on the street level. But come on now, let's think about this now. Everybody, if you do not watch The Boys the first time you're jumping into it, anytime you're talking about enhancing a soldier, you're also thinking about military funding, wars, and so on. So that's immediately where the money is being sought at. And that is obviously for the better good of a few, but not for a lot. And that's my quick assessment of the overall plot and premise of this season. So Troy, anything you want to add? And if not, then go into your overall thoughts about the season.
Nothing to add specifically to that, because you pretty much covered that whole summary. But yeah, I mean, just overall, I mean, every time this show comes back, it comes back strong, hits the ground running like it never left. You know what I mean? Like, you get back in front of your TV and you're like, man, I love this show. It's so bad, but I love it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so terrible, like in a good way. Like I said, it comes back even stronger. Seeing Hughie back in that position of power. Like you said, grass is not green on the other side. It's sometimes what you think is the right way is not the right way. You know what I mean? Like, and we definitely see so far through the series is like almost like you said, when they give these super people powers, it enhances that person. You know what I mean? Kind of like the super soldier serum, without being cliche.
Yeah.
But almost everybody with powers almost becomes an asshole. You know what I mean? Like they kind of take it. They feel like they're better than everybody else, and they use that. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's like a chemical thing with the drug or whatever, but like their brain is just telling them like they can just do whatever they want to do to a certain extent.
And see, that's what this show is. The show is the idea of normal people having superpowers. Now, let me paint something for you and for the audience as to why what you're saying definitely sounds like something of some lore, but why you don't even need to think that deep. Because it's the same as anybody who has a huge following on social media. Right. They start to become this, this all of a sudden this platform of I'm more superior than the other masters with less. You know what I mean? It's like a certain level of statue that people just inherit just because of a couple of followers and whatnot. It's the same thing here, and consider that like some of these things are could be obtained, and some of these things are something that you've just had since birth and whatnot, which is going to be something we're going to talk about a little bit later. It's just certain people, when they figure it out, that it's like, oh shoot, I'm better than them, and I'm going to show it, and that's where you're getting these different type of postures from. And you got people completely doing the utmost extreme antics with it. So to any degree, any direction, any degree, you're getting a little bit of something. So, but go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I mean, like especially jumping back into what we saw from like the animated series, that the anthology, where we've seen various use of the powers, and this show is definitely, like I said, a nature versus nurture thing, you know what I mean? Like where Vought is babying these people because they know the mindset of a human, you know what I mean, or of a human being, and what they're capable of if you don't put them in the right direction. And anybody can easily go left, which is why they're trying to steer them hard into becoming heroes. They want heroes to be the ideal thing to do. They want public perception to matter, to basically people they've created as gods, you know what I mean? So this is what I feel like this overall this season has been giving me, is they're definitely, of course, focusing on perception and more of like, okay, if you give a person power, what will they do with it?
Yeah, I also think that they're trying to kind of like glance in the door in certain societal issues as well, not wanting to go so deep because of just the tone of the show. I don't think it's appropriate to fully immerse yourself into these things because they're already deep enough. But because of this society isn't technically our society, but lives within our society, is that like we're not going to ignore that these things exist, but we're not actually going to tackle it, because the other big and overall issue is just the idea of supes in a world of taking power into their own hand. So last thing I'll just say quickly about the structure of the show. I mean, the production's good. Like I said, the gore is there. It's raunchy, tons of nudity. It's wild, it's unhinged, but it's good storytelling. It's anybody who's a big comic book fan, whether you read the comics or whether you just like comics at all, it's very, very it's accurate to both directions. Whether you want to get into the comics because you're enjoying it so much, or whether you like the comics because you want to get into it and whatnot, it serves both audiences good. And I also think the biggest thing is because of maybe your knowledge of the comics, you actually can enjoy this a little bit better because of you can start to piece together some of the things that are going to occur in this season, and or having a little bit of backstory of things you may not have known about. And if you've done none of that, the Boys Diabolical also kind of helped you navigate through some of these things as well too. So I love the fact that Amazon Prime Video is being able to utilize all of their different levels of media to make the Prime, their no pun intended, but it is their flagship Prime show, stand out for what it is, and it's good. I'm so happy for it to be back. I'm so happy to talk about it. And at this point now, folks, we're going to get into episode 301 of season 3, Payback. Now, I am going to apologize right now, folks. We are going to cover 3 episodes, spoilers. And it won't. I know I won't be as thorough as possible because it's a lot of content to cover here. But when we come back for episode 4, we focus on one episode, and then but like being able to sit back here and pinpoint every single point of 3 hours of the first 3 episodes, because that's how it's being released. That's why we had to consume it in that nature. It's a lot. I want to go back to my first comment about Vault, and I don't know if it was perceived like this before, but when I mentioned how I said it being like the Disney the evil Disney of monopolizing everywhere. They really are like, it's evident everywhere you look. Television, movies, merchandise, appeal, everything is involved. Amusement parks, they own it all. So just understanding that their influence on things makes the world move. It's literally them that makes all the decisions. And I think this season, more than any, you actually are going to see that. And that's sort of the mindset in which I think Homelander is feeling the pressure under of saying, like, they got me so tied up on their puppet strings that I actually don't know if I can actually stand for myself at this point now. Like, they just got him so involved in everything. And again, he's processing the whole thing with Stormfront and his public image, and continuously having to do media left and right. He's been in the cameras left and right and so on. But, you know, he's trying to work through that. But starting off in this episode, we see the crew in their new movie.
Dawn of the Seven.
Yeah, what's your thoughts?
I thought it was cheesy as hell.
What you watching?
You know, I like that this is like they're doing a superhero movie in a world of actual superheroes, which is always weird because they really like focus down on stuff that like just doesn't even look real when there's already kind of made up world. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
And then where was the rest of the seven? It was you know, I know Deep and all them supposed to come back, Black Noir, but I only get like 3. Of course, it's a trailer, so I'm not going to over whatever it, but it looked cheesy as hell, man. I wouldn't see it.
Yeah, I'm all for it because I think that's this whole thing about the superhero genre. It's just like you're just so hooked, you don't even care. And I think that's just shows the popularity of it, is that they were going to pull the movie because of the perception of, you know, him Stormfront. Dating, Stormfront dating a Nazi, who Stormfront is the only person recasted in this, by the way.
Wow, yeah, I was wondering about that. Aya Cash is not back for the role.
Yeah,
I was not sure the decision behind that, but
for the film we're talking about here, right?
In the show itself too.
No, that is her.
Is it? Oh, wow.
It is. It absolutely is. So, who I'm a big fan of. So I will say my initial thought was like, when I saw the recasting for the movie within this series, folks, I was kind of like, oh, I miss Aya. She's so good. She put on one of my favorite films on Shudder. What was that, last year? That time is flying. With Josh Rubin. But yeah, but the cameo of the person, by the way, I will leave for you all to unless Terrell wants to spoil, I'll leave for you all to
she double dipping in the superhero genre right now. But,
I'm gonna folks gonna be like, we'll at the end of this episode we'll drop it there. Yeah. Right. So remember now, with her not being in it, it's not because everybody is aware of what happened to her. It's because of the perception of who she is. And because the big mystery is, where is Stormfront at this point now? And that's like the big mystery of some folks know, some people don't know. Of course, Homelander knows. That's his girl and whatnot. Is she dead? Is she alive? It's whatever. But yeah, they had to pull an audible on that. I think the next thing to kind of talk about here. Well, I thought when we got A-Train and Hughie on the carpet together, and it was kind of funny where there was just like, whoa, never thought we'll ever be here at this moment. Funny thing is, they was the first two who started off season 1, and look at them now on the red carpet, debuting their new movie. I have to say, from red carpet experience, the accuracy here of the PR, like, hey, gotta go. That's all the time they got. Ask questions about the movies on. Of course, I always ask questions about the movies, but yeah, it's very accurate on that note. I unfortunately, we have to talk about what may be the most bizarre thing of the entire episode.
Oh my
episode
God.
1. What the hell? Termite,
yeah. AKA Ant-Man, AKA every person, Adam.
Yeah. And to be clear, too, real quick, we're skipping over a little bit because a lot of what was happening early was establishing everyone's position, because Hughie being there, dating Stormfront, dating Starlight was evident there. learning about his new position, learning why he was there, which also sort of was a little bit of a conflict of interest because you're like, oh, you work for them, but you kind of with her. Right. How does that kind of play a part and whatnot? And then what's the whole dynamic between Starlight and Homelander, which is still very much what's kind of the word here? Like it's
on eggshells, like
she's not trusting of him, obviously. And it's like any given point, you just feel her knowing that she's looking for her moment. She's obviously scared of him, as she should be, but she's also trying to navigate this thin line between public facing because she's popular and hating him, but also not diminishing that, not making it evident. Because if she makes him upset, he kills her. If she makes him to be the bad guy, he kills her. Like you kind of gotta be like a person pleaser to him in order to protect their life.
Right.
And Hughie already, as I said, is already having kind of this little jealous complex where
his insecurity is flaring up.
But what could he do? Any moment of insecurity here, and both of y'all are gone. So, which I love that. And Homelander is like instead of just like a normal clapback, he's like, "Nah, I will kill you," like straight up. But yeah, go. Let's give it to you. Talk me through this party scene with Termite, bro.
Yeah, so we come into the party. You go to a superhero party as we've seen in previous seasons. It's already going to be wild. You know what I mean? So we come in and we get Termite as he's fucking a sex doll. And everybody's just standing around watching it
inside of a playhouse.
Yeah, just mad weird. And then of course we see Kimiko and Frenchie, coming in to case the party, and they come in and he goes back to the back of the room with the guy, and it's where we gets weird, and he does a little coke and shrinks down and goes inside the guy's penis.
Hold on. Hold on, because I know we're gonna forget if I don't say something. I have to say, it was the way how they played with my feelings within these three transitions. You got him in the playhouse being wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Kimiko singing, and you're just like, what? Like, I thought you were a mute. Which we see that she has a supreme connection to music. And which is interesting for somebody who grew up around somebody that was mute.
Right.
It is always a certain connection that really prized them out of this. And seeing that moment was like really like, oh my God, like what has happened in this year? Like tell us more, and then you can continue. But it was just like, oh, this is crazy. Oh wow, this is pretty awesome. Then like, all right.
Yeah, real dark. What I didn't need, Amazon, was a inside super descriptive version of what inside of a dick looks like. I didn't need that, man. I was very disturbed because at first it looked like it was butthole, and I was like, nah, he not in the back. And of course he goes in, and I was just, it's a little too much. And he of course then he's coked up, sneezes the coke, and expands back to regular size, and of course Supes being Supes kills somebody by accident because the accidental death insurance for superheroes in the city must be ridiculous. And of course Frenchie comes in and exposes them. They wind up getting into a whole tussle, and you see your boy Butcher come in and capture him in a bag of coke and have an OD. Yeah, I didn't need that. But we see that after, like you said, after that year, we see Butcher Billy. He's showing more constraint because he would have killed the Supe in a heartbeat without whatever. So he's definitely following orders from the CIA, and he's showing more constraint when handling these superhero missions. So I definitely get a little growth there to a different Billy Butcher.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's just very unlike himself to display.
He's kind of checked out.
Yeah. And again, even for it to be a year, you think like, well, a year is a long time. I mean, it just shows you that like people process some of these things in the fashion they do, and is in the length that they need. But you're still dealing with Becca, and Homelander is still dealing with Stormfront, and all the constant reminders of it. I mean, you have to think. This man Butcher sees Homelander's face everywhere, everywhere he goes. You know what I mean? Which we'll talk about in a little bit. But like, it's to a point where like I don't know if we ever had so much emphasis that like these folks exist in the fashion of how we see like Spider-Man and Batman every single day. We're just like, oh, there's a Batman shirt. It's like, oh, that's cool. Just remember, if just think about it, if one of those folks were either part of your addiction or part of the reason one of your family members were killed.
Right.
And you constantly like, oh my God, he's wearing a fucking Batman shirt. Like, for real?
You said this not only hero worship, but you know, as it is in real life, when people like worship, you know, celebrities, they idolize them, and you know, they can do no wrong in their eyes, you know, stuff like that, and they ignore certain things because they love these people so much. Yeah. And you know, like I said, in the superhero world where they keep killing people every other week on collateral damage, you know, yet they still have a PR team to spin it and get them back, you know, in the eyes of the public. So, you know, that's definitely a good job of how they've done this show, how this is written, is like, you know, the hero stuff is compared to, like I said, the idol worship, the celebrity worship in real life.
So yeah, no killing. Call the bureau. Turn them in. Wow, in the bag of coke. But yeah, so next thing I believe Billy goes to check on Ryan, who is constantly having to move. Yeah, he is in protective custody, except Billy knows where he's at. So, and obviously because this is all because you never know when Homelander may just fall out the sky and say, that boy is mine. No Monica intended. Also, no Soldier Boy tell him intended, because we're gonna be saying that a lot. But you know, that's sort of the dynamic with that. Now, the interesting thing with it is that Billy really loves his dad. Ryan really loves his dad. Billy, I think, has some resentment towards him. And we kind of see this play out a little bit, just jumping ahead, because it's like he cares about him. They try to have a connection, but like, I think the mourning of Becca just sits so much harder on Billy than it does on Ryan.
Right.
And you see that sort of resentment towards him because of what his part in this was, you know, and it's unfortunate, but you know, it's interesting. And what I will say is that, like, I don't take any of this like the concrete right now, because I think this is going to just be a revolving change of dynamics between the two of them, which we can tell you by 3 episodes in this slate of reviews that it has already done changed 3 different times already. So It's just interesting to see that, like, you know, he's a little rough on the kid a little bit, and the kid just clearly loves him, and how that may change and what that may cause going forward.
I don't know. I mean, I mean, clearly, I mean, he's a kid, so I mean, kids gravitate to anything fast. You know what I mean? But you know, Butcher's also honoring that promise he made to Becca before, you know, while she was dying, that he would take care of him. But he really don't want to do that. First of all, he already had an issue with the kid because he's a Supe, and then you know, then he accidentally kills his mom. But that whole battle was like, so come on. You know, it's still got a lot of, you know, animosity in his heart towards the kid, regardless of whatever promise he made with the woman that he loved.
Yeah,
which, you know, we talk about later. So
yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, Homelander's just not himself, and you know, he's constantly being asked about how did you know Stormfront? How did you not know Stormfront was a Nazi? And he continuously repeated over and over and over. He's a man who fell in love with the wrong woman. And we see him sort of just be zoomed in on, because we see him kind of like flinching. So we already know that ticking time bomb is only a matter of time. Like, somebody dialed the little thing back a little bit more, but that thing is still coming around. And I think this is just a sign that, like, if anybody thought we was going to get some type of, like, I don't know, humanized version of Homelander this season, forget it. Forget it. That ain't what we signed up for. You know what I mean? Forget it. Going back to Mother's Milk, or Marvin, he's doing a co-parenting thing. You know, he's also kind of processing a little bit of trauma too. I think he spoke about how he wants to he doesn't want to have the same dynamic with his daughter that his dad had with him and his sister, where his dad was so obsessed with solving some soup stuff that he was just completely absent to his kids. Where
Right.
we seen especially last season, completely obsessed. Where that obviously has caused them to go down the road now where he's co-parenting and he's trying to be more involved with his daughter, and he's also trying to get his girl back, who also has married or dating. She got a significant other. She got something.
She definitely.
Yeah. Funny thing is, like, listen, like it's literally not about race, but I will tell you what is funny to me is that during his birthdays, his daughter's birthday, he gets her a Flavor Flav chain clock. Cool. But her father, her stepfather, or whatever it is to her, he comes out in a Homelander outfit. Folks, we all know Homelander. If you don't know, Homelander is absolutely racist. Completely. So when you see him in a white thing, you're just like, oh. Black girl, black daughter, got it. You got your black face on for sure right now. So
is he racist?
Homelander?
He's never specifically targeted.
Yeah. Let me tell you. Listen, because I knew he was gonna say that. I'm jumping the gun again. He constantly targets A-Train and disrespects him. No one else. Hey, who has he disrespected besides that? He bullies others, but he disrespects. And then, because we haven't got to talk about it, but we'll talk about it, a selection process of like are we really going to have this type of person on our team? Right. Which, by the way, they're trying to fill in the other members of the Seven. They got this reality show going on that is with Starlight being the host and Homelander kind of somehow happened to be there as well too. What's the name of the show again?
Find a star or find a hero or something like that. It was like
something silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Homelander is racist, bro. Like, don't even try it. Stop it. You already know. Stop it. But go. What's your thoughts so far? Like with this whole thing with what should we say? The state of the boys.
The core group. I mean, everybody's like, you got your boy Marvin. He just trying to live his life. What he was trying to do before Billy came in. Not once but twice and interrupted his time with his daughter, because that was his main focus, was to do what he was doing so that he can have a normal life with his daughter. But his obsession, of course, like it's cost him that relationship, and he's kind of having to suppress himself to maintain a relationship. And we see him just kind of have like a series of moments throughout so far. And Hughie, again, he really feels like he's righteous by joining the side where he doesn't have to get his hands dirty to do his job. Billy, this ain't him. He want to hurt something, you know what I mean? Especially after losing, Becca, which, that was one of the main reasons, his fuel for the first 2 seasons, for doing what he was doing, because, we thought she was gone, she was dead, or she disappeared or whatever. And that was the reason why he was going after Supes. That was his motivation. And Starlight is just caught up in the glamour and the fame of it. She says she wants to get out, but I really do believe that she loves it. And she does want that, because I mean she was raised her entire life to get to this point, to be a member of the Seven. And I feel like that's why we keep getting various different, whatever's of her life throughout this to, kind of reaffirm like she regardless of everything that's going on, she's still going to keep her position. One, because it definitely keeps the target off her back, because once she's out, that's it. Homelander, here he come. But like I said, after a year, everybody's just coasting.
Yeah, I mean, and Starlight, I mean, we see sort of the grooming of everything she's been through, and how that kind of created trauma for her. So yeah, it makes sense that she would want to be in this position, but I think she's also a little bit of resentment or just a lot of conditioning that she doesn't know any different, and I think she's also battling that as well too. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. So okay, we're right. So now we
I think right after we deal with like Homelander like losing his whole public image because of the whole Nazi thing, they do reintroduce Stormfront in the Vought Tower, and we see her, which I swear I didn't think it was her. I was looking up the credits and everything, like, is that her? we see her kind of laid out in the bed, which I'm kind of confused about because I thought she also had like a regenerative power, like that they were talking about, or like so she had like semi invulnerability.
Yeah. Well, I think we gotta wait a little bit before we can discuss that. So, but no. To be clear, now we know Stormfront is alive.
Right.
Definitely messed up. Arm missing, eye missing. Definitely looking like Vecna on Stranger Things. But yeah, it's definitely Aya because it first of all, one, I'm happy because I was worried with that the character being gone. We know that. But she's such a phenomenal actor that like that presence of the show, I was already worried about that gap, that those shoes not being filled because of just what she did for season 2. So I think it was only right to have this character be brought in and handled in this way to just get another glimpse of saying like, she's still there. But also it solidifies something else what we'll talk about in a second because with her being there, with Homelander obviously knowing about it, with them still having moments together, it's this love. And it tells you that even with her being a Nazi, he still never cared. No matter what. This is the only thing that was bigger than his public image. When you think about it, the only thing. Everything else is just like, nah, I refuse for people not to like me.
Right.
But this one's like, oh yeah, if you're a Nazi and I love you, then so be it. In front of her, he doesn't care. So
I appreciate that she did make the appearance back to give Homelander a hand job. So what I mean? It's like,
listen, with her one hand, she had to do what she had to do. So dude.
Hey, I mean,
but yeah, going back in the Vought Tower, this is where we get a little bit of a little change in posture by Stan here, who basically was kind of had one objective about how things were being ran, but then kind of was just like, forget it. We're going to take things to a different approach, a different level. And this is where his whole approach about Compound V24 and how it would be used, what it could be used for, and so on. So I don't think there's much to put emphasis on it right now, unless you got something you want to add with it.
No, I have nothing on that. I mean, still trying to push the whole soldiers in the military thing, which they've been talking about since season 1.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, wait. And by the way, I just thought about something too. You're making me forget, like, how did I know it was Aya? Because I was unsure too. It's in the credits. Special guest right at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed it. I was looking on IMDb and I was like, I didn't see her name. So, I mean, obviously, they keep it a spoiler, but.
Right. Yeah. So, that, but yeah, definitely. So cool for her, for taking one for the team and getting under all those prosthetics and makeup to live her character out for one last ride, even if she's not the big evil that we all miss for season 2.
Loved her in season 2.
The Deep has returned. The Deep has a girl. The Deep has a book. The Deep is just on some deep stuff, What's your thoughts about the Deep returning?
I don't know. He's always felt like he's been there for comical relief. I really didn't have too much to say about him. Like he kind of serves no purpose in the 7 for me, other than to get bullied by Homelander at any given chance from So nah, yeah. I ain't got no thoughts.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Homelander's PR Ashley. Her sex scene in the stall was
that was weird.
What's crazy? It's very normal considering everything else.
Right.
It's like that's not so bad. It's like she has a fetish for getting her hair ripped out, but
my hair out.
Probably a very normal thing for her. Mess with the soup, you never know. But yeah. So yeah. What's next now? So what is our next?
I think in episode 1, 2, we do get that interaction between, because it's like right after that we see the whole thing with Homelander and A-Train in the hallway.
Right. So this, yeah. Like I said, again. Okay. Right. So let's talk about A-Train, because A-Train obviously is still after he's been exposed last season.
Yeah.
What's his purpose? So when we saw the movie trailer, or when we saw the movie part in the beginning, you're like, oh, A-Train, he back. He's put back together. And it quickly slipped my mind that he was struggling with it until he had that moment with Homelander in the hallway. It's just like, hey, you're putting on a lot of you're packing down a lot of with calories and everything.
Right.
But you're not running. So like, what's the deal? Because something's not adding up here. And I'll say that A-Train's arc thus far becomes about asserting his relevance. He's losing his power. He doesn't know where he belongs.
Right.
So to me, he takes the complete BS route and says, "I'm going to pander. I'm going to go after the blacks and the black communities and try to create my relevance for what I'm going to do for them." And he goes after every single dynamic that you can go for.
And everybody clearly knows this man don't give a fuck about the black community.
Called his BS instantly, and he was nothing he could do about it. He was like, oh, okay. So
I mean, you can make Ashley uncomfortable. Like, nah, we're not doing that. We're not wearing that suit, bro. We're not doing that poster. Slave, nah, we're not doing. Even like his black PR person was like, yo, that was trash.
Yeah.
That dude is hilarious, by the way. I could not remember his name.
Jesse T. Usher.
No, not Jesse Usher. The guy that was like his PR guy that was the Sans. I cannot. I want to.
Oh yeah. I can't think of his name. So the next big thing, because I want to kind of wrap up on this episode, is Starlight. I keep getting Storm from Starlight. So easy to get them confused. The names confused. But Starlight getting hit with a proposition of saying, "Hey, we want you to be the co-captain of the 7," which in this case will make you the first female co-captain of any superhero organization, period. And this is because of everything you've been doing for the image of the squad, you know. And I've already ran it down the board, you know. And this is Stan talking to her. I've already ran it down the board. You just got to say yes. That's it. And of course, she instantly says no because, well, that's stepping on Homelander's toes, and we don't want that to happen, you know. And so she decides to kind of wiggle her way out, but as she always does, she's like, with one hand in, she has one hand out, or one hand out but one hand in, because she's also trying to figure out chess. What's this move? So I know my move, and that's kind of how you got to play with Homelander. So, what's your thoughts? You know, at this part now with her and this promotion that kind of came out of place.
It's a scary scene, man. Because like, you know, for this show from season 1 is like, you just don't want to antagonize Homelander. You know what I mean? Like, the strongest freaking being in the show. Nobody can stop him. Nobody has a way to stop him. He has every goddamn power. You know, he's super hearing, super straight. So like, that's one of the things she says. Like, yo, he could probably hear us. He's like, I don't give a shit. Like, I want him to hear us. You know what I mean? Time for him to grow up, because like, for the most part, Homelander still does have kind of a mindset of a child. Like, he just kind of grew up in, you know, in the lab, in his public persona. Like, he never really gained certain human aspects that some of the heroes had, you know, growing up around other people. So, you know, she knows this is going to unhinge him. That's why she's really hesitant, because, you know, it's only been so long before that dam breaks and he loses his mind and decides to kill everybody. So, but again, she sees the potential in it, and she was like, all right, you know, she really didn't have a choice, but she does see the potential in what she could do with this power. Yeah.
I'm not going to add too much because we still got to get through the other episode, so I'll just kind of leave it at that.
I was going to say, I mean, if you, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, like, right after this, we get the whole scene. I think we get the whole scene with Maeve and Butcher, which ends finalized that, which she gives him the compound 24.
Oh, I wasn't even there yet. I mean, I wouldn't even think about that but that's important, because I was going to bring up so a couple of different things. You know, once Hughie walks upon Starlight, and one of the contestants, I'll say that right now, one of the contestants of American Hero, we see this is where Hughie starts to establish his insecurities, but also, as I say, we start to see that Starlight also is a very, I would say, inconsiderate of his feelings about things, because she's kind of just flaunting her past relationship with this guy that she had passed with, who's a contestant on his show. Go figure, right? But yeah, after that, that's when Hughie and Butcher decides to have a talk. And when they have a talk here, first of all, it's so funny because Frenchie and Kimiko just kind of like, I'm minding my business. I'm not gonna pay attention to that. Right. But it just showed. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I love the relationship between those two characters. Like the friendship they develop is real cute.
But it just shows you how different their philosophy is at times, and how like they're both struggling. As much as we kind of focus on Homelander and Butcher being the biggest struggles in inner conflict, he's also having his as well too. And we see him basically try to who at one point was kind of short of words, kind of now puffs his chest out a little bit, and it was not short of words for Butcher in this instance. And it kind of explains why the group kind of dissolved, why everybody went their different ways, why MM is doing what he's doing, why Hughie got to his part, and why Billy's doing what he does. So like we kind of see that. But yeah, go for what you were saying now.
We were getting like Maeve, after that scene in the hallway with A-Train, she see like he's kind of getting back to that point, you know what I mean, like where he's starting to get unhinged again, and she knows him more than anybody else probably there, because of the relationship. So she knows the potential, like where he goes. So first thing she does is she calls up Butcher, goes meets up with him, and tells him like, look, we need to figure out a way to take out Homelander, like for sure, because we see this might be the point that they're not gonna come back from. Like he's not gonna be able to control him this time. And she gives Butcher the compound 24.
Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned Homelander getting a hand job by Stormfront on her medical bed, where she's bedridden. Gotta figure it out any way you can. That dude could probably get any girl he wants, but that just showed you his level of love for her and whatnot.
Right.
We did get a return appearance from Hughie's dad, played by Simon Pegg. So that was a pretty interesting return as well. I think the last thing in this episode off with is Butcher gets a surprise visit from Homelander. Talk a little bit about their pact and what they kind of agreed to here.
Man, if this isn't like a Superman Lex Luthor scene, you know what I mean? Where this is the complete opposite, but Butcher puts away the compound 24 because Jesus Christ, he hears him make the approach, and pretty much like they both feel like they're both tired of living these kind of fake selves, these fake personas they've been putting on, and now it's like, okay, let's just be who we are. What you want to do, I know what I want to do. Let's make a pact that we're both going to do this, and at the end of the day, we're going to fight it out and kill each other.
Yeah.
So thought that was interesting. Like he would even even have the conversation with this man, after everything he's done.
Yeah, man. It just shows you they both got to a very convenient low point together. It is like It probably would be cool if we worked together. So
bad idea.
Yeah. Also, this keyword Aquafresh in this episode, bring the Aquafresh home. Jesus, man. Anyway, I think that's it for episode 1. Besides, now all things lead to Soldier Boy.
Oh, before you do that, we talk about the surprise appearance early in the episode in the movie scene.
Yes. Go for it.
Special guest Charlize Theron, who getting all the money.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, everything now leads to Soldier Boy. Now Soldier Boy tell him. But Soldier Boy, the first superhero, and everybody wants to know about his death. How did that happen? And that connects a lot of people's interests. You have MM, who has a history of reasons to be invested into this. And obviously everybody right now who's like, man, listen, we need some kryptonite because Homelander is slowly cranking up right now, and it's only a matter of time, the doomsday clock is to say, because he's becoming more and more unhinged. And you have to think, this is a guy who has all the ability in the world, who's dealing with trauma that isn't going to get any better for him right now. So that is that. Anyway, let's jump now to episode 2 again. We're just finishing up episode. Episode 2 is The Only Man in the Sky. That's the title of this episode. The Only Man in the Sky, which again, it will be releasing on the same day, June 4th, as the first episode, and then episode 3. I'll let you start off, man. Where do you want to go with this one?
Jumping right into, it's Homelander's birthday, baby. It's time to celebrate.
Yeah, I didn't get an invite, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not going. But Homelander's birthday, we're still dealing with the PR, public image, and hopefully using this to kind of quell down the whole "you dated a Nazi" thing, and keeps getting thrown in his face, and he keeps trying to step away from it. And it's kind of hard to love this because Homelander wants to be liked. He wants to be loved by people. He wants that embraced by the public. And then, like I said, we get into him and Starlight really having the clash between each other and dealing with their co-captain things, which he is not a fan of, and Stan lets him know early on that Starlight's going to do what she wants. She gets to call on this. On top of that, her contract also is negotiated that she gets to pick the 2 members of the 7.
Yeah. I forgot to mention. I can't believe come on, Troy. You gotta hold me accountable. The very last thing of last episode, we totally forgot what happened when Victoria got ran up on in the alley.
Oh, yeah. Well, I thought it was episode 2.
yeah. Episode 1. So because I've been talking so much, please talk about.
Yeah. So episode 1. We finally do. We because we recap at the end of second season where we found out that it was her, who had the ability to explode people's heads. She has a confrontation in the office where a guy is like, he's looking for Nadia. And it's like, no, that's so-and-so. Like, he's like, no. And Hughie winds up pursuing the guy or Nadia after she leaves out and sees him cross the street, and they wind up meeting in the alley. And of course, he confronts her and was like, hey, I'm about to expose AYZ. She's like, no, you can't do that. And they wind up getting into a fight. She winds up killing him. Hughie sees the whole thing, and now he feels like a dumbass for working for the person that he was trying to find in the first place. So... yeah, I was wondering when she was gonna get revealed, man, because her power is kind of broke. So little much.
Yeah, all right, but go. We're back at episode 2, so go.
Yeah. So we were talking about Homelander's birthday. We were talking about Starlight, trying to share the power, and her having to say over who gets to be in the 2. And Homelander, again, you see him start to get a little bit more pissed every time he starts to get something taken away from him that he wants. He's starting to, because he wants to be number 1. So we already know we already know what Starlight has over Homelander, and then what she could potentially do, because again, he wants to protect that image. Yeah. She has the whole thing with her ex boyfriend who was in the boy band, by the way. It's always weird. What was his name? What was the boyfriend's name? The ex.
I forget. I was thinking about it the first time. Forgot again.
But yeah, we wound up getting into the whole thing with them, and then we get into Hughie pursuing the origins of Nadia, because he's told Starlight what happened, and he's now pursuing down a superhero and adoption agency where she apparently was originally. And does his whole CIA thing and goes in there and hacks the computer to find old footage of Nadia when she was a kid. And of course, we do find out that she was adopted by Mr. Stan Edgar himself.
Yeah,
Mr. Vought, which again pisses him off even more, because it's like, okay, what am I doing? Everything, they're getting fucked from both sides. Because he's trying to do the thing, Butcher's way, and it didn't work. He tried to do it from the good way, and the game, like you said, the game is rigged against them. So even if they're trying to do something, it's not going to work. And they're feeding the Supes back to Stan and everybody in the first place. Yeah,
and like I said, Vault is everywhere. And this shows you that like it's a dark web of just secrets and just involvements. Like they're the spy net without the technology. They're just everywhere, you know. And speaking of Vault, you know, we can't not talk about episode 2 without mentioning the Deep's movie and television show on Vault TV.
Lifetime movie.
Yeah, his Lifetime movie, which I love. I have to bring it out. I love it so much because he even acted like it was a Lifetime movie. Like the completely over-exaggerated runs and just everything about it was just so foreshadowing and exaggerated and just extra for no reason. And it just was to a T him. But
with another cameo from Billy Zane.
Yeah. Shout
out to Mr. Phantom himself.
So go. What you gonna say?
No, I was about to say just Billy Zane. Just I swear I thought he was in the second season too, but I might have been thinking about something else.
But yeah, the Deeper and then the Dolphin show. For this guy, what was it called? Not My Dolphin. I think that was the name of it.
Yeah,
hold on. Not Without My Dolphin. Definitely will not be checking that out.
I really hope that they start branding this stuff off even more, man, and start making like this show like outside of the series, and we start actually getting like these movies, like these little mini movies and stuff like that. They record. But
go for it.
No, I was gonna say like you know, just getting further into that episode, we do get we do get a little bit more what the next task is. We're trying to find, like you said, find out more about Soldier Boy, you know, aka Captain America, who is played by Dean Winchester. Jensen Ackles, because we see a lot of that in the previews and stuff like that. But like you said before, like we know that he supposedly died in in Russia, and they're trying to figure out, what was the thing that killed him. So they're trying to track down his old partners, which was, man, I cannot remember her name. I want to say was it Bulletproof? It's like, I know he was like a gun expert. So it could be.
You getting me confused here. You're talking about Gunpowder.
Gunpowder.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did I write Bulletproof?
Gunpowder, who is definitely making very because the timing of this is just so bad.
Right, I was going to say that.
But yeah, I talked a lot the first episode, but yeah, he so much emphasis on gun laws and gun control that is pro guns that is was just like. But yeah, go for it.
I was confused because I was like, so we get Butcher pursuing him down at a gun show, at a freaking firearm festival.
Yeah,
it's a sale 2 for 1 on Hollow Points. The coupon code.
Get you a deal before you leave out,
Butcher pursues him in the bathroom, no less, and tells him he's a big fan, and pursues him and asks him like, hey, do you know anything about Soldier Boy? And hits him with, hey, I got a document right here saying that you let Soldier Boy do his thing to you on the side. He's like, nah, man, that never happened. And then they about to get into it in the bathroom, and he pretty much tells him, hey, if he kills him in the bathroom, like this whole thing gonna be leaked online. He's like, he really didn't care. And then they wind up getting into it in the parking lot of the of the place they were in. And I'm like, okay, what's the superpower? And I'm like, is using guns really a superpower? I mean, I guess if you can change the trajectory of like how they hit, I guess, but it feels like a regular person thing.
It sounds like he has hearing enhancement, gun accuracy, and whatnot. So he's a weapons specialist with some type of enhanced hearing. And that's why when he started to shoot the other alarms, that throws that off a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And,
so
we see Billy get shot in the leg because it's like mirrors all over the place. And then he winds up getting the heck up out of there.
Yeah.
So
for now.
Yeah.
Because I want to, because obviously they recast re-encounter soon. I just wanted to quickly bring up the A Train thing because as we mentioned, yeah. So I looked it up real quick. Seth is his PR handler or his manager name, played by Malcolm Barrett. Yeah, who I've seen in something recently. I just can't remember. But anyway, A Train is obviously just trying to find relevance, and he's just trying to figure out what he's going to do. So here's this thing. We're gonna market some video game pitches. We have A Train to Africa. I mean, come on now. Sounds good, especially for the folks who aren't black in the room that's just sitting there just like, okay, maybe that could work. And you know, we know what's her name is definitely going to try to give a smile, even though she has no clue what was going on here. But then as if that wasn't any better, then he what is wrong? I just can't even believe. Like, and the funny thing about this scene is just how he smiles and how he was just serious. I know this is gonna work, but the middle passage with him holding two boats together in a chain, like, bro, what? like I'm not even mad that Ashley just rejected this off the break. Like even her white ass dude, like, nah, this not gonna rock. He throws. You wouldn't buy that though?
A Train was in it.
Hell no. He just throws up the fist like it's just all good. He says he's going to change his outfit, which is like to be more to represent more, right? For the culture, for the people. You know what I mean? He's trying to figure it out all he can, but like no one's. And all this is because of his whole thing of him saying he's going to go back to the motherland. Nobody's believing it, so back to the drawing board for him. Completely disaster pitch by him, and off to the next thing. The other thing I wanted to mention too was that when Hughie went to get the intel from the adoption place, right? All those super kids, like the teleport one, I'm actually intrigued. I don't know if it was just me or not, but I was so much more intrigued to see like what all of their abilities were and just how they were using it. Had to do crawl on the wall, do teleport and whatnot. I was like, all right, I want to see what else they got here. So I
like how the just kind of soups is so commonplace now, like whereas though like most of these kids will probably have been in a lab somewhere where you can literally just come in and adopt. You can just come in and adopt a kid already with superpowers. You know what I mean? But as you can see, there's a lot of accidents that happen with these kids that they show. You ever see like the caretaker? Her leg was already messed up. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. I would like to see what the other powers are. But I feel like we've seen this kind of already with the animated series with the
right the diabolical
so we like I said, we found out that Nadia was adopted by Stan, a couple scenes later, and then we get the news report that Stormfront is officially dead.
Suicide,
which I'm sitting here like, how was that even possible? But apparently, these people are still human. Nobody's ridiculously godlike in this show except for Homelander. Yeah. For they make it a point to make it so he is the strongest character in the show. Period.
Yeah, and let's be clear, like she was a god, and she basically was bedridden, and regardless of us not knowing how she went about things, and I think that's going to be something to talk about at some point. And obviously she loved him because she gave the wink of saying happy birthday because that's all she was able to do. Right. But it's just like maybe she was just like, if this is my life, then I'm just choose not to live this one. You know what I mean? And her suicide is just another major minute off his clock upon him being unhinged because he was on top of the building when he got the news of a girl who was about to commit suicide, where his whole pitch was to kind of talk her out of it. To him talking her off of it. So
like, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, asshole Homelander is loaded up. So yeah,
I'm not going to say Homelander is my favorite character on the show because that would make me look like an asshole. But this definitely brought back some OG Homelander moments. You know what I mean? Especially he's coming to save the girl. He's like, I don't even care. Just go ahead and do it. Don't pussy out. Go and jump off the roof. She's like, no, I don't want to do it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's pretty beat up about that, and we definitely see like I said, we come back for round 2 with Butcher and Gunpowder, and this time he comes armed. He decided to take the compound 24, which does work.
Yeah.
And literally beats the information out of Gunpowder about who his handler was, which we found out that it was Butcher's original contact at the CIA, who used to be the handler during the whole incident with Soldier Boy. And then we found that out, and we see what, like I said earlier, what a taste of what this power does to people. And literally he loses control of himself and winds up killing Gunpowder through, without, and then of course laser beams him by accident. So, well, that's what I was saying. Like, we definitely see like everybody that gets, like, depending on the person, once they get a taste of this power, they don't know how to control themselves. They lose self-control, and they wind up a person's life just becomes nothing because they can. Which I definitely find interesting. And also, are these powers random, or is just like, is it like per the person? Because why would he get super strength and vulnerability and laser beams? Unless
I literally said the same thing. I was just like, obviously we had to pick what we wanted. That's what we want. But like, you just assume that he gets it, and sure enough, he did. So I don't know. I guess it's to be determined, because of right now we just don't have an answer to it. So
we get the first dose. Almost seems like it's going to have like an addictive property to it too. I feel like that they're hitting at that very, very heavy. Like, once you shoot this compound V, which you've got to do by compound V24, which only lasts 24 hours. It seems like it's going to have an addictive property, and he's going to have his despise for super people. He's going to wind up getting addicted to this serum.
And like I said, because they always going to just go all the very standard superhero show genre, whatever tropes, they're going to hit all of those. Yes, he's going to get addicted to this. We know how this works out. So
and then I was like, I know I'm going over a couple of things, but like, we definitely get the song played out, the boy band song, which is extremely fucking weird.
A 16-year-old reference, and he's way over it. Very cringe, but yeah.
Which he said like earlier on, he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm too old to be singing this song." Yeah. License was the song. Got your license to drive. 16 got your license to drive tomorrow. That weird. And then of course at the end of the episode, we get the whole song played out. Was there anything I missed here, or anything like
there's a couple of things. One, Homelander is still struggling with his popularity, which is, like I said, that's the most important thing to him. They're still doing an American hero thing. Like I said, whatever we need to get his name real quick before we get into the next episode. But the one of the contestants of it does this song that you mentioned. But we see backstage, we sort of see like Starlight and Homelander just kind of there, and we see him kind of shaking. He's bothered. He's already lost his girl that day. It's a lot going on. And Starlight gets up there and she makes a declaration of saying like, "Hey, listen, Homelander's about to make some donations or whatnot." Somebody in the crowd says something about him having a Nazi girlfriend. He gets immediately removed. Homelander has some fake smile. He says, "You know what? Fuck this donation. Whatever you're saying, Starlight, not true. I'm about to say what I gotta say, because that's what it is." And that's where he hits the Ultron basically statement of saying like, now all the strings are off of me. I'm about to do what I want to do. And that just makes him even more dangerous man and even more unhinged. So
he got his power back. He realized now he's like, what are you going to do about it? You guys can't do shit. Like, I'm the one out here doing the work. I'm the powerful one. I'm super. You guys can't stop me. That was a declaration of war. If it wasn't anything, that'd have been like,
and it's literally nothing they can do. I mean, it's absolutely declaration of war. That's the best way of saying it. It's inciting terror, if you can even go as far as that. but he's like, listen, nothing can stop me, which even more now makes the importance of trying to find out this weapon that allegedly may have killed Soldier Boy. So
allegedly.
So that's where this episode kind of goes. But beyond that, we see moments with Victoria and Stan together, kind of sharing things. Like you said, Stormfront commit suicide. We see gunpowder at this very Confederate like everybody pro guns, pro gun convention, kids out here, these kids out here learning how to shoot and whatnot. I mean, it's the most Confederate thing I've ever seen. It reeks of John Deere left and right. It is what it is, but that's what he stands for. And this person now who talked about this other trope that I didn't know was a thing, but when you're sidekicks, apparently you're abused and taken advantage of. Is he trying to say like this is the Batman Robin thing? Is that what we're trying to hear here? Where he's like, Robin definitely got mentally abused, but I don't know about physically abused. But
he had what
he's trying to say. He didn't have no goddamn choice. He had no choice. That boy was taken, and Batman groomed him. That's what Batman does. He grooms his next.
He helped him. He helped him find his parents' killer. Goddamn it. Anyway, that character we were trying to figure out, his name was Supersonic.
Supersonic. Yeah, that's right. So, but yeah, that would do it for episode 2, which now takes us into episode 303, Barbary Coast. We see young Starlight, which takes us back 17 years old, and being put into the beauty pageant world, and there's a lot of just different narratives that spins with that, but focusing on her, something she never wanted to do, and her parents made her do it. And we see sort of her coping mechanism in these instances, which is important, with her hand behind her back and balling up and whatnot. We see that's when it's apparent that she's under a lot of distress, because she talked about these moments with her as a kid, and we see this now happen as her as an adult. So Little Miss Hero pageant is what she was in, and whether or not you want to look at it in this light, she was groomed to be the leader of the 7, whether she wanted to choose that or not. But to my point now, after his very controversial speech, well, Homelander grew in his popularity. But folks, let's be very clear. The urban numbers were down, but the white males numbers were up. Who would have thought?
Hey.
And actually even spun it in a way, it's like, but when you and Starlight are together, it does really good. So just remember that as we get towards
the
end
end
of
for
this
Homelander,
episode.
you're not black.
Who was saying that? Joe Biden. yeah, exactly. But go for it. I'll let you get into this episode a little bit.
Like you said, we get into the beauty pageant, and like you said, we see that played back later on for Starlight, or just her, like you said, her coping mechanism. And then we after last episode, we find Butcher knows that Mallory was the what's the word, a handler for Soldier Boy and the crew.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to the cabin, where I want to say Ryan and all them, and of course my man Billy still got that shit in the system. You know what I mean? Eyes flickering on and off. He feeling sick. You know what I mean? So they confront her, and this is where we get a majority of our episode here, where we get a lot of the backstory.
Yeah, in Nicaragua.
Right, in Nicaragua, what happened with Soldier Boy. Every time I say that, I keep thinking of that stupid.
Soldier Boy, tell him.
Yeah, Soldier Boy and what happened. You already know. So with this too, I feel like before we even get to that, we get to a lot of what happened with Melvin, because we know that I don't know if they mentioned it in the previous seasons that Soldier Boy was wound up killing his family, like, you know what I mean, like, and this has been an obsessive compulsion for him to where he's even snapping off on his daughter, building 7, vault towers and shit with her, which, has got to be a trigger. Like, how do you avoid something like that when your daughter is literally obsessed with superheroes? It's all around you. You can't shake that.
Yeah.
And, he comes to his ex and he says, look, man, I can't, I've been literally making myself sick trying to live this normal life, and I'm only doing it for her. I can't do it anymore. And she tells him, like, straight up, like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. Your daughter gonna be here at the end of the day for you. He tells her, don't let her know anything about this, because he still wants to be perceived as a good dad at the end of the day. And so we got his whole tie into Soulja Boy and why he just actively wants to find him. Of course, we know, like, the whole thing with his dad, and his dad pursued him too. I'm like, is everybody just immortal in this show? Like, nothing's proven, you know what I mean? But like, a lot of the superheroes are like, it's like 30 or 40 years, since any of that happened. But of course, like you said, we get the past of what happened with him, and of course, anything with superhero goes left, we get to see a young Edgar, which the casting was off to me. I'm like, is this guy taller than Giancarlo? We get to see Black Noir, who was played by a different person, who is a different person at that time.
And is
black.
Yep. But do you know exactly who it is?
Do I know who it is? Like, in the comics?
The identity, because it was revealed here.
No, what did they show it, but I didn't recognize the person.
So okay, so one other thing too. Obviously, Black Noir was. See, it's these liberating conversations that are being had in these first 3 episodes here, and he's just like, you know what? I'm trying to show my face out here.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and instantly gets injured by, I won't say instantly, but immediately we saw the foreshadowing of the injury coming because of that, and therefore the reaching of the helmet, and that was like the whole foreshadowing thing of like, I should have listened and whatnot. Also, I really want to say this before I forget, because I feel like we should have brought this up. I believe it was last episode, right? With Kimiko and Frenchie in the amusement park, right?
Yes.
Right. And we start to grow an emotional connection to Kimiko, because she starts to kind of reveal about what normalcy in her life looked like. And obviously not having a brother, well, every bit of normalcy now is gone. And I think this is starting to weigh a little burden on her, where we see her at this episode basically says that she wants out. She wants to leave the boys, and how's that going to play a part? But I mean, she's so searching, and we can't blame her. And I also think it's got a lot to do with music, which we'll find out in a little bit. She has some amazing scenes. Now, hold on really quickly. What episode was it? Was the last episode? Was it this episode? Whatever when they went to go see. It was last episode. God, we forgot all about this. With her going to look for another member of the original crew, and in this, that's where we see what's her name? Crimson what?
That was Red Crimson or something like that.
Was it Red Crimson? And her singing, and then she's like, she's good. I like her.
That music video was terrible.
So, but this was just, and as we just start to see her more and more attached to the idea of music and whatnot.
She even says she's only still there because of Frenchie. Like, if he decided to go, she's gone too.
Right.
And so we'll definitely see how that plays out. But Crimson Countess.
Okay, yeah. So right. So and this was just a like I said, this is a moment where she kind of paused and had the moment of saying like, hey, she's I like her music and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, they pursue her because they're looking for more intel and whatnot. And while, like I said, during this experience, she Kimiko was able to see like other kids, and it kind of reminded her and whatnot.
Yeah.
So.
After they accidentally make her kill a guy in a Homelander costume, it explodes all over everybody. Yeah.
Right in front of the kids and whatnot. So
sick.
But go what's the next thing we need to hit on?
Oh yeah, we talk about they're going back and forth in the story, and then Homelander does his next play because he's trying to take back control, and he has a surprise return from the deep, no pun intended, and he comes back. Deep comes back with an apology with his wife from his Christian youth organization or whatever she's from. And he comes back with an apology for Starlight because we all know that history from season 1 after he forced her to have oral sex, and she ain't feeling that apology, but she don't have no choice.
Yeah.
And Homelander makes it very clear, not racist, that he does not want a Muslim in the 7. That ain't happening. That ain't happening, at all. And
even though
everybody
she's the most qualified person, but
has the most saves, but because of her skin color, supposedly, she could not join the 7. Her and the other black girl that were like the final 2 choices.
not yet. Yeah.
Out of Supersonic. So we already know that Supersonic's getting picked, and after she warns him to leave because of all the crap that she's had to go through, in the last year after being almost killed like 3-4 times by Homelander, and he's like, get out, but of course he feels as though he's trying to save her by trying to stay, and then we get a little bit of the like you said, Homeland is racist, by him making the decision about who can and who cannot be in the 7, and at this point it's looking like an all-white group. So
right.
But yeah, deep returns, and I put down no Muslims in the 7. So we also get the scene where we see Starlight try to gain back control by letting him know, like, yo, I got that video. He's like, all right. I don't care no more. And this is the turning point where we get that old Homelander back, where he's kind of untouchable at this point. He has the public appeal. She's like, look, we can go about this 2 ways. I could either be the hero and be loved, or I could be feared. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go here. He breaks down his plan of how he's gonna take down everything from the infrastructure to the White House, cell phone communications, everything, and nobody can stop him, which makes this plan to find something to take him down even more important.
Yeah. We talked a lot about Soulja Boy and his crew, the group of folks, the Payback, who we all see gets brutally destroyed, and Soulja Boy is taken. But because we know about the casting of it, because this was like some of the early news with it and whatnot. Because of that, there also was a lot of emphasis about how this character was going to be not like his depiction in the comics, where I think, well, why not? Because why would you? Because like these anti-heroes have become so much more popular in television shows nowadays that you got them being all kind of like wimpy and kind of standoffish and whatnot. Right. Like he's portrayed in the comics, to have him come a whole different route is going to be interesting, which also is a threat to Homelander. So I like it. Bad versus bad, and I think Jensen Ackles, is going to be something once we kind of get him in current date, because as we see him in this episode, in this battle, is kind of just like it's kind of just doing his thing, not a big threat, but was taken and whatnot. But the interesting thing was that he was taken by the Russians. They said it was a weapon that they were able to do so. No emphasis that he died, but just the whole idea that he was taken and whatnot. And of course he's going to still be alive. Of course he's going to be utilized for something of that sort. Like, this whole thing that he's dead, she knows the truth. He's not dead. They find that out. He was taken, and they haven't been seen. So what is he being used for? Has he been captured? What's the whole thing? Also, the funny thing on this was the scene where one of the twins was on the 40 cal Rocky, what do you call it, the gun that the Rocky be on, when he was on there shaking it while he was shooting was the funny.
Was that not like a younger version of gunpowder?
Was it?
I thought it was.
Oh, it was. You're right. It wasn't one of the twins. Right? Yep. Thank you for correcting me. Yes, it was. But yes, he was just right, because he had the helmet on. Right. But he was just wilding out on that thing.
Like that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. He's coming a long way.
Yeah, everybody's like, he's just going off, just spraying down everybody. It's a lot of collateral damage. Yeah. They're killing like people on Mallory's team. That whole scene is just wild. We also see that Soldier Boy has super strength because he knocks a guy like 50 feet in the air. Yeah. I'm not sure what his other powers are because I really haven't looked into it. I want to be surprised.
I mean, how could we when everybody just seems to get all the OP people get the same power set? So don't be surprised if he does too. It just seems fitty,
Everything but laser eyes.
Yeah, and who knows if he don't have that? He probably just didn't use it. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Yeah. So let's other little things to talk about is like we talked about with Brian and Butch's relationship changes here, and he's definitely like blames Ryan for Becca and makes it very blunt to him, and Ryan's like, okay, I hate you type of thing.
It's like he hates him every episode. I do think he's just a little bit irritable from the after effects of the serum, and
absolutely,
and dealing with that whole story with Mallory. Mm-hmm. After finding out that she specifically distributed coke to the African American communities to destabilize, because government. But yeah, he has this whole situation with Ryan, and he tells him he hates him, and after they have their little moment in the hallway with the saltine crackers, and sharing a story about his mom. But I think that this is also a way for him to kind of break that relationship, so they no longer have that attachment. I don't think he wants any feelings going into this for this kid. One, I mean, it's Homelander's son, and then but it's still Becca's son. He made that promise, like I said. But I think this was the scene where he's trying to break any attachment that he had to him, so that he can kind of forget about him, and he got to do what he got to do, kind of get back to the old Butcher.
Yeah. Also, hold on. So I just made me think about things a little bit as I'm trying to consume all the information again.
Right.
Right. So to retract something about Black Noir. Yes, he's black, but it makes me realize that this is why the way he is, because of the injury that he sustained. He now realizes he's forced to wear this helmet, and because of his appearance, and because he probably lost a little bit of like some deformity on the face as well too. So it was kind of like a, hey, if you would have listened, this wouldn't happen type of thing. But here you are with it, because that's what that's kind of what you got. Kind of a listen. If you would have listened, you would have never had this issue in the first place. So.
Right.
Then Homelander bullying the Deep makes him eat his friend, his octopus friend that watched him have sex a little bit earlier, and his girlfriend.
Not Timothy.
Basically said, do it, because she's no support of him, and she wants him to kiss Homelander's ass any way he can to get back in the crew. It's always something he always wanted to do in the first place, but like now he got his chance, and now he's being tested because Dick Homelander is back, and then
I can imagine the writers in the room when they wrote this scene, and the fact that they had Homelander say compare himself to freaking MLK. When he compared himself to Martin Luther King and how he felt similar to him, I was just like, I can't take this anymore. This guy is sick, man. So but make this man eat lobster and shellfish and everything else, knowing his affinity with sea creatures, man. Sick, man.
Exactly. So he was forced to eat that meal, which is just messed up. You talked about the winners of American Hero. And beyond the end of that, you got Homelander and Starlight relationship status. They're together, and they run it back twice, and she kisses him. No respect for Hughie, but again, I think there's a plan to this. Let's not forget that Hughie had his arm broken by Kimiko, so that he can rejoin the boys. The band is back together because now everybody's plan is to well, get to Russia because they got to get this weapon, more information on
Right.
so how they can kill Homelander. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say don't forget the scene where Hughie, she's talking to Hughie and she was like, look, you got to play this out because he's gonna be gone, like you said, for a long period of time. So she's gonna have to endure this for God knows how long until they can figure out how they're gonna take down Homelander.
Yeah.
So she's playing it out all the way to keep herself alive.
Yeah. Sad, but that's sort of it. And I think the last thing to add is what? That it?
With the
yeah. And let's not forget that when Frenchie got kidnapped, he got a trump card. He's like, listen, we're involved with the CIA here. You can't touch us. So if you do something to me, the government is going to be coming knocking down your door. So like, an insurance policy for a little bit of a situation that he got up in. But more or less, that just shows that the government involved are pretty much
until they get publicly denounced. Like, you no longer got that protection.
Yeah.
Because like you said, that whole thing with Nadia, who was trying to pretty much avoid her at all costs at this point after seeing what she can do. So like I said, I mean, like they're taking out Vaught's pretty much using her to take out public figures, appointing her to a position of power in the CIA. So they constantly have Vought constantly has eyes and ears everywhere. Like you said, they're everywhere. On your TV, with your government, you know what I mean? So they're literally using these people to plant soldiers inside of every aspect of government.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, and I will also mention what's his name again? The contestant that won. I keep it Supersonic. So with him, with Starlight basically saying like, listen, you can't, you're gonna win, but you're gonna have to tell me you can't. With him kind of saying, listen, I'm gonna be by your side for the whole thing. We all know that he's getting ready to position himself to play White Knight, which is not good because the person you're going to be defending him from is the person that no one can do. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see him volunteer as tribute for this year's annual Hunger Games to not make it back home. So, but anyway, we're at an hour and a half. That's 3 episodes and a non-spoiler review. Troy, anything else you want to add before we roll out so we can?
No, man, The Boys is back. It's a great show, man. If I could, I would sit here, and digest the entire thing all in one setting. Because like it's one of those shows like you literally can't put it down. And I think that Amazon is doing the smart move by doing this week to week or however they're going to do it in batches or whatever. Because this is definitely, like you said, water cooler conversation, among us comic book fans and various other people. So The Boys is back. I'm happy.
Absolutely. Nothing else to add, folks. Y'all check out The Boys' first 3 episodes dropping this Friday, June 3rd. We're back each and every week as we total up to 8 episodes, which makes that finale July 8th. Can't wait for you all to check it out. We can't wait to be back. The Boys is back, as Terrell said. We'll see you back.
Going to Russia, baby. We're going to Russia.
Going to Russia, baby. Peace out, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Jump in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about it. And we'll see you next week.